if I had some sort of a super sophisticated drone technology that is above and beyond what we think of in terms of what's technologically available today, I would say it's UFOs too. I would say, we've out of this world craft. Yeah.
Yeah, but some of that is reverse engineered stuff.
Could be.
Right? That's what
it
Bob
could
Lazar
be.
says. Yeah.
Or there could be a branch of physics. This is what Eric Weinstein has theorized. And the way he talks about it's quite brilliant. And he talks about this one particular college in New York, one particular university that has an insane physics department. And it's also connected to this hedge fund that does like Bernie Madoff numbers that don't seem to make sense. But so that would be a great way to get money for these things. And that you have this insane physics department. So you have these people, if you talk, like that's one of the things that Diana Pasulka talked about in her book about the people that are documented that are involved in these crash retrieval programs and supposedly involved in these back engineering programs. The amount of secrecy and their adherence to secrecy is spectacular. And this idea that people can't keep secrets, the fuck they can't.
Yeah,
people could keep secrets.
What do you think is the ultimate reason for that? Because there's a lot of ideas on why they can't release it. Because like Roswell, and there's been a number of different types of Roswells, which whether that was ETs that we interacted with, whether there's some sort of alliance between other, alien extraterrestrial races, and what do you think is the major fear around not releasing that?
Well, I think there's a bunch of fears. First of all, someone has got to be held responsible for misallocation of funds. So let's say that you have defense spending, you have some private company, which is, by the way, which they all think it's private companies that are involved in defense companies that are involved in this research.
Like the Lockheed Martin of the world.
Which are much better at keeping secrets,
right?
Than the government is. And that if you have misallocation of funds and you've lied to Congress, like someone goes to jail for that. We're talking about laundering, essentially. Could be hundreds of millions, if not billions and billions of dollars over decades. So who made these decisions? Did they make the decisions? Did Congress not know about it? So if they didn't know about it, they're going to want to know about it. And if they find out that you've been lying to them all this time, well, guess what? You're going to jail. So who's going to jail? Who misallocated funds? Where did the funds go? Was any of that funds filtered? Did anybody get wildly rich during this time? Was there some skimming like we think is going on in Ukraine? Was there, when you have a shitload of money.
But who went to jail when Rumsfeld said on September 10th of 2001 there's $2 trillion missing?
Yeah.
Unaccounted for.
Nobody. Well, they couldn't account for, right? Is an interesting way of saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody. Yeah. Well, also,
the
Pentagon fails its audit every year.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's crazy.
But they just hired all those IRS agents to go after everybody.
Anybody who spends more than $300.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's also conversations around how it can fuck with religion, and the ideologies that so many people have and the belief systems. If there's, say there is extraterrestrial life, and how many planets in the galaxy have we found now that could sustain life even in a close proximity to us?
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah. So
but Diana Pasulka's work, what they're talking about is not even necessarily something from another planet. Perhaps something from another planet, but maybe something that's from another dimension. Maybe something that's hyper advanced that has the ability to access us and can come and go as it pleases, can go in and out.
So it's basically here all the time. We just can't see it because it's multidimensional.
Yes.
It's fifth dimension.
It's something.
Yeah.
And then also, I mean, again, this is what Bob Lazar talked about when he was on the show. He said, if you had brought a nuclear reactor to, the 1400s and showed it to people, it'd be indistinguishable from magic. They'd be like, what the fuck is that? This is sorcery. This is crazy. But now it's just normal. As time goes on, 1 million years, 2 million years from now, if somehow or another there's intelligent beings that have continued this evolution of technology and innovation, they're going to get to a place where it's they have the ability to do things that are unfathomable. You can't even imagine it. Your mind is not capable of it because you don't have a point of reference. You don't have context. There's not pre-existing technology that leads you to make a logical bridge towards this potential.
It's not the words. Like they talk about some of the stories in the ancient texts and in the Bible. They, they don't have the words to explain like what a spaceship is. It's like, no, it's like a chariot in the sky.
Ezekiel.
Yeah.
When you pull up the description that Ezekiel had of the wheel within a wheel, my God, it sounds like a UFO.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people, I would like to talk to Tucker Carlson about this, because Tucker Carlson has this belief too. He just talked to people about this, and he thinks that it's always been here, and that it's a part of existence, and that this is a part of these biblical stories of angels and devils, and that's what they're really talking about. They're talking about these interdimensional beings, and the darkest theory is one that Lazar talked about. He said something that they talked to him about when he was working on these back-engineered crafts, is that what they use us as is vessels that we are souls. We hold souls. And that this is essentially a farm, and this is how they develop souls through us, and that what our soul is. I mean, if you had to imagine what our soul is some force, something that they farm here with us. When we die, it transcends and becomes whatever they are in whatever space they exist in.
That's what Bob said.
He's talking about it, that this is one of the crazier stories that has to do with religion that's attached to the UFO phenomenon. And Diana
Tucker's
Basalki
talked about the demonic part of it. Yeah. What did Diana say?
Well, this is what some of these people think, is that these things have always been here, and they are a part of our history, and that this idea that they're coming here on these metal crafts from another planet is not necessarily the whole picture, that it might be some of that. Because we do that, like we send drones to Mars. If we get to the point where we have artificial intelligence, or I should say created intelligence, digital intelligence that exists in some sort of a physical form that we can use in a physical craft that doesn't have the biological limitations of tissue, need oxygen, and all the things that would prevent us from being able to travel in deep space. You could send this thing out into the cosmos, and this thing behaves like a life form. I mean, we're essentially on our way to doing that. We have a rover that's moving around on Mars right now as we speak.